I want to tell you about the scariest sentence I hear in small business. It is not, "we are losing money." It is not, "sales are down." It is four words that owners say with a smile on their face, like it is a good thing. Here it is. She just handles it. You know the person. Every business has one. The employee who has been there forever, who knows where everything is, who catches the problems before they blow up, who just handles it. When you talk about them, you get this warm feeling because they are the one person you never have to worry about. And I'm here to tell you, that person is the single biggest risk in your entire company. Not your competition, not the economy, them. Now let me be clear about something before you get the wrong idea. This is not their fault. They did not do anything wrong. In fact, they are usually your most loyal, most talented, most dedicated person. The problem is not the human being. The problem is what you have let them become. You have taken all of the most important knowledge in your business and you have stored it in one place. And that place walks out the door every night at 5 o'clock. And one day it is going to walk out and not come back. Maybe they quit. Maybe they get sick. Maybe they win the lottery or just burn out or get an offer you cannot match. And when that day comes, you do not lose an employee. You lose a functioning business. In the operations world, we have a name for this. We call it a single point of failure. It is any one part of a system that, if it goes down, takes the whole thing down with it. A good operator hunts these down and eliminates them on purpose. And the most dangerous single point of failure in almost every small business is not a machine or a piece of software. It is a person. So today, I want to give you 3 moves to find yours and defuse it before it goes off. Let us get into it. Move 1. Find your key person dependencies before life finds them for you. Here is a simple exercise, and I want you to actually do it, not just nod along. Ask yourself one question about each person on your team, including yourself. If this person disappeared for 2 weeks with no notice, what would break? Not what would be annoying, what would actually break? What would stop? What would nobody else know how to do? Let me give you a real example of how this hides in plain sight. I work with a home services company, plumbing and HVAC, doing good revenue, great business on paper. But there was a woman in the office, we will call her Diane, who did the scheduling. Diane knew which techs were good at which jobs. She knew which customers were difficult and needed a specific person. She knew the informal rules, like never book the Henderson account before 10 a.m. because the owner is not a morning person. None of this was written down anywhere. It lived entirely in Diane's head. And the owner loved Diane because Diane just handled it. Then Diane had a family emergency and was out for 3 weeks, and that business nearly came apart at the seams. Double bookings, angry customers, texts sent to jobs they were not equipped for. The owner worked 90-hour weeks just to keep the lights on because he suddenly realized he did not run a scheduling system. He had been renting one out of Diane's memory, and he never knew it. So the first move is just to see it, map it, make the list. Who are your Dianes? What do they carry that only lives in their head? You cannot fix a risk you refuse to look at, and most owners refuse to look at this one because the person is so good that thinking about losing them feels disloyal. It is not disloyal. It is the most responsible thing you can do for the business and for them. Move 2. Turn tribal knowledge into documented systems. That phrase, tribal knowledge, that is the enemy here. Tribal knowledge is anything your team knows how to do that exists only as memory and habit, passed person to person, never written down. It feels efficient because it is fast. Everybody just knows. But it is incredibly fragile because the moment the tribe loses a member, the knowledge leaves with them. The fix is not complicated, but it does take intention. You take what is in their head and you get it onto paper, or into a document, or a short video. You build what is basically an owner's manual for the work. Now here's the part where owners get it wrong. They think documenting means writing a giant 300-page binder that nobody will ever read, so they never start. Wrong model. You do not need perfect. You need it to exist. A 1-page checklist beats a perfect process that lives only in someone's memory every single time. And here is the best way to actually do it, because you should not be the one writing it. Have the person who does the job document the job. The person who owns the task writes the steps because they are the only one who actually knows them. Diane writes the scheduling process. Your best technician records a 10-minute video of how he diagnoses the hard calls. Your top salesperson writes down what she actually says on a discovery call. You are taking the most valuable asset in your company, the knowledge trapped in your best people, and turning it from something you rent into something you own. One more thing on this. When people hear document the process, they get scared their people will feel replaceable or that you are building the manual so you can fire them. Frame it the opposite way. Tell them the truth. This is how you stop being the person who can never take a real vacation. This is how you get promoted because I cannot move you up if the whole department collapses when you leave your current seat. Documentation is not a threat to your best people. It is how you set them free. Move 3, and this is the one that turns the whole thing from a nice idea into a real defense. Build a business that survives the vacation test. Here is the test, and it is beautifully simple. Can any critical role in your business go completely dark for 1 week? Unreachable, phone off, on a beach somewhere, and the work still gets done at an acceptable level? If the answer is yes, you have built a system. If the answer is no, you do not have a business. You have a group of people holding hands, and you are 1 bad week away from a very bad year. And here is the hardest version of this. For most people listening, the single point of failure is not Diane. It is you. You are the one who cannot go on vacation. You are the one who answers the phone on the beach. You are the bottleneck that everything routes through. And the same 3 moves apply to you, the owner, most of all. What do you carry that only lives in your head? What decisions can only you make? What would break if you were out for 2 weeks? Because a business that cannot run without you is not an asset you own. It is a job you can never quit. So how do you actually pass the vacation test? You do not wait for a real emergency to find out. You run a drill. You literally schedule it. Pick a role, pick a week, and have that person step out while someone else runs their playbook from the documentation you built in Move 2. You will find every gap fast because the gaps scream. This step was not written down. Nobody knew the password. This decision got stuck because only one person could approve it. Good. That is the entire point. You would much rather find those holes on a Tuesday you planned than on the worst day of your year that you did not. Let me bring this all together because I do not want this to be a nice idea you agree with and forget. Here is your homework for the week, and it is one small thing. Pick your single most dangerous point of failure. You already know who it is. It might be an employee. It is probably you. Now have that person write down just one critical process. Just one. The single most important thing they do that nobody else knows how to do. 1 page this week. That is it. You are taking the most valuable knowledge in your business and moving it from a place that can walk out the door to a place that cannot. That 1 page is the beginning of owning a business instead of being owned by it, because that is the real difference. A business where the knowledge lives in systems is an asset. You can scale it, you can step away from it, you can eventually sell it. A business where the knowledge lives in people's heads is a hostage situation, and you are the hostage. Same team, same talent, completely different outcome, and the only variable is whether you did the boring work of getting it out of their heads and onto the page. If you want the templates to actually do this, the process maps, the documentation checklists, the systems for turning tribal knowledge into something you own, that is all waiting for you inside the Small Business MBA. It is genuinely free. No card, no trial, no catch. Everything you need to stop being the bottleneck in your own company. And if you are someone who runs operations for a living, if building resilient systems is your craft, then I want to point you somewhere else too. We are building the National Board of Operations Professionals, the first real standard and credential for operators, and we are building it in the open with the people who actually do the work. If that is you, come get involved. But whatever you do this week, do not let the smartest person in your building be a secret nobody else can read. Get it on paper. Run the drill. Build the thing that survives without you. Stop renting your systems. Go own them. I will see you in the next one.